One of the most important skills that you will develop as a man is your ability to communicate effectively and efficiently without appearing weak, right? Because unfortunately, you hear a lot of mixed messages. There are a lot of people out there saying, yo, you gotta be strong, you gotta be stoic, don't let them see your emotion, you gotta be tough, you gotta be alpha. Being alpha and strong and masculine does not mean that you don't show emotions or that you're not vulnerable. Quite the opposite. Some of the most confident alpha dudes that I know are and have the ability to be honest, be vulnerable, show their sensitive side, and they don't appear weak. And this is a skill that you can develop. And today, I want to help you develop it. The first tip is to embrace anger and become friends with it. And what I mean by this is oftentimes anger is a symptom of another emotion, right? And so next time you feel like angry, you got to stop yourself. Instead of reacting and exploding, I want you to stop and think, why is this making me angry? What is the deeper reason? What is the deeper cause? If somebody hits on your girlfriend, is it just the fact that this dude is hitting on your girlfriend? Probably not. Or is it maybe something else, something a little deeper? Maybe you're feeling a bit insecure. Maybe you're feeling insecure because maybe you had a relationship that didn't work out or somebody cheated or left you. You've got to identify why you're feeling that way before you just explode and react, which brings me to the second way you're going to communicate without actually appearing weak. When you just get pissed off and react and say something, oftentimes you regret it a little bit later after you thought about it. The other downside to when you react and explode without thinking it through is that other people automatically discredit you. They think you're crazy, they think you're overly emotional. But if you have the ability to calm yourself, to suppress the feeling and the urge to just react, think about it logically, take a few seconds, take a deep breath, and then start and explain why you're feeling the way that you are. Oftentimes it's going to be received a lot better as opposed to somebody just being defensive. Number 3 is do not apologize if it's not your fault, right? This is one of the things and the mistakes that a lot of men make, right? Because they'll just apologize. If somebody gets mad at them, they don't want anybody to fight, so they'll just be like, I'm sorry, right? When the truth is that oftentimes they didn't do it, or the person that's getting upset wants to talk it through. But by you taking the easy way out and just apologizing, you're doing a few critical mistakes. Number 1, you're owning something that's not your fault. The other issue with you just saying, I'm sorry, right, when it's not your fault or you need to communicate a little bit more is that you're not actually solving the problem. Oftentimes it's just a Band-Aid, and resentment will end up building up and bubbling up to the point of possible explosion. Next tip to be an awesome communicator without appearing weak is don't get so defensive right away, which is hard to do, right? When somebody brings something up or wants to talk or communicate, right? Oftentimes when they kind of accuse us or we feel like they're accusing, we automatically snap into defense mode. Get super defensive, right? And we start trying to defend ourselves and saying, no, but I feel this way, or I think this, or you did that. No, unfortunately, this is a recipe for an unproductive communication or conversation. When somebody tells you something, you've got to stop and you've got to listen. And then acknowledge what they say. This is an incredibly powerful communication tip, right? Oh, I didn't realize that you felt that way. Or, oh, I didn't realize that I was making you feel that way. Or say, I understand. Okay, I hear you. And then you can proceed with having a more beneficial conversation. But unfortunately, we can't. A lot of us go, no, it's not my fault. I didn't do it. You're wrong. It's you, not me. It's you. The next thing that's going to help you guys is to develop your emotional literacy. All right. And once again, this is not something that a lot of people understand. We just feel things, right? We don't know why, but it's about learning to identify the feelings that you're having. Once you do this, it's amazingly powerful because it then allows you to communicate in a more safe environment and allows you to be more vulnerable. This is something that I learned when I went to therapy. I've talked about this a bunch, right? I have been in therapy a few times in my life, and I personally feel like it is something that each and every one of you should do. The reason is because of what it helps you with in terms of your communication, right? You've got to deal with the issues that are holding you back or preventing you from having healthy relationships with other people. And the way that I did it was I went to therapy. And the beautiful thing about a therapist is that they don't have to sleep next to you. You can talk to them about things that are bothering you that might not necessarily be something you want to talk to your girlfriend or your boyfriend or your husband about, or your mom or your dad or your boss. It's a safe place for you to explore, to express, and to just be vulnerable. Guys, if you have not checked out BetterHelp, I'm going to link to them down below. They're today's video sponsor, and they are amazing. BetterHelp is the world's largest therapy service. It's 100% online. And with BetterHelp, you can tap into their network of over 25,000 licensed therapists in a wide range of different areas and expertise. And with BetterHelp, guys, getting started is super easy. There's a link down below this video that I want you to go through and fill out the profile. They're going to ask you a few different questions about about you, what you're looking for, your preferences, so that BetterHelp can then best match you with a therapist that's going to be best suited to help you with your specific needs. And then you can talk to your therapist however you feel comfortable, whether or not it's through text, through chat, through phone calls, through video, guys, it's up to you. And the thing that I love, you can message your therapist anytime and schedule live sessions whenever it's convenient for you. But the one thing you need to understand about therapy and therapists is that sometimes it's not the perfect fit, right? It's kind of like dating, right? But BetterHelp, they allow you to change therapists at no cost. With BetterHelp, you get the same level of professionalism and quality that you come to expect from an in-person therapist, but the therapist was actually chosen specifically for you. You also get more scheduling flexibility, not to mention a more affordable price. Guys, if you're ready to finally take your mental health, your happiness, and your communication game to the next level and deal with the issues that have been holding you back from realizing your true potential both professionally and personally, I want you to hit that special link down below. If you go through our link, betterhelp.com/alpha-M, that's BETTERHELP.com/alpha-M, you're going to get 10% off your first month of therapy. The next tip, in order to be a better communicator and not appear weak, is stop trying to win an argument or a conversation, right? The truth is, there's only one way to win, and that is if both people feel like they were heard, both people feel like something good was accomplished. Think of it as like communication negotiation, right? If you were negotiating like a business deal, they talk about like it's a win-win, right? Win-win scenario means like both people have to feel like they gave something, but also got something. Same rules apply when you're communicating effectively. You've got to be willing to give, but you also need to be able to receive and get something as well. Which brings me to something else and another strategy for you to actually be a little bit more vulnerable, and that is be open to criticism. So criticism is never, ever fun to hear, right? And depending on what it's about, depending on who it's from, it can feel like a personal attack. The next time you feel like somebody's criticizing you, stop and think for a second. What are they really saying? Are they attacking you? And is this a justifiable criticism? All right, now, if it's just like nonsense and you know that it's not true, then you can dismiss it because there's constructive and destructive feedback, right? Destructive feedback is bringing no value to the table. But when it's constructive, when you feel like they're attacking you, are they trying to help you understand and see something about yourself, or are they just trying to be a dick? If they're just trying to be a dick, dismiss them, get away from them, they're probably toxic. But if they're truly trying to open your eyes to something that you're doing, you gotta listen and then figure out how to fix it, change it, or modify your behavior. The next tip, in order to be a more effective, amazing communicator and not appear weak, is to be a better listener, all right? Listening is more than just hearing what they're saying. It's actively listening with your entire body. Unfortunately, a lot of us, when we get into an argument, a conversation, right, we just wait for our turn to talk. And so the whole time we're just thinking, okay, when's our opportunity? When can I slide in there? When the truth is that we feel more connected to somebody that actively looks like they're listening, right? You're nodding. You're saying, oh, really? You're possibly touching them. When you get into the habit of listening better, you're going to be amazed at how much better conversations you have and how much deeper the conversations will actually go. Emotional intelligence is having the ability to empathize with the way that somebody is feeling, right? And so you being able to read what they're saying, their body language, how they're coming across, and the feeling that they're having at the moment, it's incredibly powerful. And if you can connect to this and share in the way that they're feeling and then maybe share an experience that you've had, it's incredibly powerful and the connection is going to be deep and long lasting. Which brings me to the last tip in order to have better conversations. And that is be able to identify the difference between a thought and a feeling, right? So thoughts, right? Thoughts are cognitive like puzzles that we put together. What I mean by that is a thought is basically you stringing a bunch of experiences or situations together to form the way that you think the world or people should be. Our thoughts form a little framework of the way that we think things should be, right? Also our beliefs, but it also creates expectations that oftentimes aren't met. And when we expect things from people or situations and it doesn't happen or they don't respond in the way that we think they should, we feel bad. And when we feel jealous or angry or upset, unfortunately, it doesn't allow us to really fix a problem. It's about learning and understanding the difference between thinking something and feeling something and then adjusting either one, right? Whether or not you're feeling it, you can't necessarily change it, but you can identify it and you can manage it. And then by doing that, it allows you to effectively communicate, talk about why you're feeling a certain way without blaming the other person. Guys, I love you. I think you're amazing. And the thing that you've got to do is learn to communicate. It's a skill that unfortunately a lot of men were never taught. I don't want you to be tough. I don't want you to be stoic. I want you to be an effective communicator, but don't appear weak. And the way that you do that is by implementing the tips I talked about in today's video. If you haven't yet, drop me one of these. And if you haven't subscribed, do it now.